welcome to the ReadyGo Media Business ProCast, connecting you with the people and information you need to start and grow your business. I'm here today with Jimmy Flores, co-founder iDaction TV, a Spanish-speaking community of global entrepreneurs. Jimmy is also the founder of Yocoso, a YouTube textile training channel with over 13,000 subscribers. Jimmy's great post on Skype webcasting helped the Business ProCast get started. Jimmy's back on the scene to give us some tips on how to promote a YouTube video once it's done, ultimately helping you build a strong online community, generate brand awareness, and increase sales. Thank you for joining us today, Jimmy.
How you doing, Joanne?
Thanks for having me. Thanks. Good to have you online. So we're talking about video promotion today. When a video is created, it's really tempting to put that in any place you can think about, like Facebook, put it on your website. And what do you recommend as a strategy as to where a video should live?
Where should it live? Well, depends on the type of video. For example, if it's a type of podcast like this one where you really want to build a community around it, well, I would suggest, for example, YouTube. Build a community within YouTube, and then you can share this video in your other communities and Facebook and Twitter, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But if it's more of, let's say, a promotional type of video that's a one-off type of deal, then I would suggest trying to get it out to as many places as possible. There's some resources that allow you to mass upload one video to a variety of video sharing sites. So, it really depends on the end result of the video, of what you're doing with it.
Great, thank you. And so if you would it work against you if you wanted to build a strong community to have it, say, also YouTube and on Facebook?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it really depends on where you want to drive traffic with that video. Because, for example, if you can use some call to actions that if the video is living on Facebook for some time, well, that community can also see a call to action that is go to our YouTube channel and rate, comment, and subscribe, so on and so forth. So they know to go from Facebook, find you on your YouTube channel, and also interact and join the conversation there. It's just a matter of having good calls to action to drive people from one place to another.
Thanks, Jimmy. That makes sense. So it can be very integrative. Now, with Yocoso, you managed to build up a pretty large subscriber list. You're at about over 13,000. I think 13,700 last time I checked. What were some of the biggest challenges growing that community for you?
Not being a spammer in the beginning, because I think what happens a lot of times is you're so passionate about what you're doing that to you it's like, well, then everybody should be interested in what I'm doing. So what happens is I took my first videos and I started just putting them all over the place. Really borderline spammy, just to be a little kind on myself, but spammy. So I think that's one of the hurdles to overcome is patience. Be patient. That if you keep building content that's of quality, that's hard to find, if impossible to find anywhere else, you will over time get indexed within search results, within YouTube, within Google, and you will start showing up in relevant phrases. And that also leads me into the other point of one of the problems that I had in the beginning, is that you build content that's completely untargeted. So ideally what you want to do is you want to build content that's keyword targeted. So basically you've done some keyword research and your videos are, let's say you have a clothing store in Vancouver, for example. Well, make some videos where your clothing store Vancouver, or do some keyword research around that, so that your titles and your descriptions and your tags, so on and so forth, they're all targeted towards where you want this community to come from. You know, so those were two of the biggest hurdles that I discovered later on, that I had to go back and change tons of titles, and then probably say sorry to people who I spammed.
Yeah. So on that note, two questions back to you. So you mentioned having patience. How much patience? Like, how long would it take to build up that kind of subscriber list? Like 3 months or 3 years? How long have you been working at it for?
Well, I think I'm looking at it from another point of view, which is time invested.
Right.
Because if you're, for example, I assume some marketers, so on and so forth, will look at this podcast, and they're going to say, well, what's the ROI on this type of deal? So the idea is, I look at it also from the point of view of how much in dollars and cents did it cost me to produce that content. And over the time of over its lifetime, how much is it giving me in return? So if I tally it all up, I think that the time I invested in producing it really was, if I added up, it would probably equate to 1 month of solid work, like between 8 and 10 hours a day, 1 month. So 1 month of time is what it cost me to build up the content for that channel, that over the last 2 years, something like that, has grown to that audience size. Now, keep in mind that it hasn't been a hardcore effort from my part to move it, to network, so on and so forth. It was just, I built the content because it was fun. I put it up there and I let it sit. And basically, the thing that has worked for me the most is letting it sit and letting it get indexed with all that keyword-rich titles. So how much patience? Well, it really depends on the amount of content you're building, how targeted the titles are, and also how hard you work in trying to get it seen by, quote unquote, let's say, influencers. Now, a lot of times what happens is that you have 2 subscribers, you've made 30 videos that you think are awesome, and immediately you want to go out to these mega YouTubers that have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and want them to share it for you. Well, I think that the best way is to kind of have an in proportion approach, to where if you have 2 subscribers, reach out to someone who has 50 or 100. Once you get to that level, reach to someone who has 300 or 400, and slowly just start reaching out to people who are just a little larger than you, to say, hey, you know, would you like to collaborate? Would you like to share this with your community? And always make sure that it's very targeted and relevant to your content. Don't just go out wanting people to share your stuff who have nothing to do with what you're producing. And if you really want to impress them, produce something that is targeted towards them. Either you talk about them, you say something about them, something just to get you into their radar. So really, the patience thing is always it depends on effort. But I think that if you're starting out, the biggest factor to take into account is the content itself. Because if it sucks and you could find it somewhere else, I mean, no one's going to pay attention. So if you worry about making content that's original and has value and authentically answers questions, solves problems,
I agree, yeah. And there's also that frame in time where in terms of making the sale or making a connection, if you can reach out to that person at that point where it's going to define whether they can move forward into collaborating with you by solving their problem in that way, that's a great opportunity a great way to engage, to build content with that in mind.
Yeah, you know, it's I think it's a matter of
It looks like you've frozen there. Gonna give that a minute.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
So I
We're
think
back.
we got disconnected for a moment there. I'll reconnect my video.
Yeah. There we
Okay,
go.
great. We're back. So,
All right.
sorry about that interruption. If I may, I'm going to jump onto a new question.
Yeah.
In terms of spamming, and you know, there's a fine line, and I think it would be really useful to get your take on what is, you know, reaching out to a community and in a targeted way compared to what is spam, and because they can kind of look the same sometimes.
Yeah. I think the best way to approach, how do you answer the question of am I spamming or not? I think that it's spam when you're only helping yourself. You know, so if let's say that you make videos on, I don't know, on health and nutrition,
Yeah.
or weight loss or whatever, if you're if you do it, for example, a Twitter search where you have a special search of weight loss, and any tweet that says weight loss, you go in and you just start pasting any video of yours as a reply. Well, that's spam, you know, because more than likely your video is not addressing 100% that person's need. But if you can, let's think about it this way. You can jump into a conversation if you have something relevant to say. You know, so
Yeah, I
even
agree
if you
completely. Yeah, and
even if you were out in the street and you heard two strangers talking about tech, you could say, "You know what, guys? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm a nerd as well, and I'd like to just add my 2 cents if I may." You know, that's relevant. You know, but if you're just jumping in and butting in and not adding value to another person's conversation and just trying to get attention for yourself, that's spam.
yeah. And then if you found relevant target audience that you want to reach out to, and you're going to use Twitter to do that, I think there's also a sort of reasonable amount of staggering between tweets that you want to do as well, so you're not bombarding your audience.
Yeah.
Which is just pacing that out over time is probably more effective in the long term than, say, you know,
Yeah.
5 or 6 tweets in an hour for 3 days.
And you know what? It's actually, I've learned that trying to do things like that is an utter waste of time, because that's small potatoes thinking. That's thinking that you're going to be able to go one by one by one by one. And I think it's much easier if you save all that time that you would have invested in spamming a community. Just make one awesome piece of content that targets one influencer, one tastemaker, one person with 20, 40, 50, 60,000 followers anywhere, and then pass a link to them.
Right. So just focusing in on content, not any of that kind of promotion that's just chipping away in small dose pieces.
Yeah, because I mean, it takes away a lot of effort, and it requires a lot of energy, even if it's just clicking buttons on a mouse. When you're going to add much more value if you go in and imagine some influencer within your sector, your category, has a problem, states an issue. If you can create content to solve that problem, to solve that issue, then they're going to share it more than likely.
Yeah.
You know, because they also want to share content with their community. They also want to feed their community something relevant. So I think it's much easier to kiss up through content production that's more directed and targeted than not trying to just bombard timelines with your own selfish links.
Great feedback, Jimmy. Thanks. In terms of, let's talk analytics for a second here. What's the most important analytic when you're looking at a video? Is it how long it was watched? Is it how many people are watching it? Or what are you looking for when you check out your analytics?
Well, right now, what YouTube considers most important is continuously shifting. So it used to be subscribers, but right now it's really centered on views and time watched. So it's basically that, you know, views and time watched. And views are publicly available. Anybody can see how many views a video has. And then, but the time watched has only been introduced in the YouTube analytics not too long ago, fairly recently. Yeah. So, but in my personal opinion, absolutely views. And more than anything, if you're doing this for business, is if your videos are converting into whatever you want to gain out of them, whether it be a larger mailing list or actual sales. So figure out, because then you don't care about views. What you care about is conversion. So it all depends on what your goals are, but views in general.
And if you've got that call to action at the end of a video or some kind of promotion that you can tie in to actually measure that, then the package is complete, right?
Yeah, because it's just simply going to the end of a video and you know, saying, hey, go to this website and go, you know, sign up to my mailing list, and I'll give you whatever. Well, you know, depending on the amounts of views and the amount of time invested in the video and how many signups you get, you can kind of begin to see you know, if this is a worthy time investment for you to be producing these videos. And actually, recently, I can't remember the company's name. Let me see if I can remember it, but it's a company that it's called Wire Wax. So Wire Wax has recently launched a new service that allows you to upload videos to YouTube. I haven't tested it out yet, but from what they have is basically you can upload videos to YouTube with actual hotspots within the video that allow you to, for example, let's say you have a clothing store in Vancouver, for example, and you make a video of the people walking around in your store. You can hover the camera, let's say, over a customer, and if they're wearing something that you sell, you can have a hotspot over this video where you can click on it and an actual menu pops up with a button that allows you to click it and go off-site to purchase that same garment.
Oh, I have heard about something like this happening, and so it has happened. Yeah. That's really exciting.
Yeah, so this is amazing for anybody who's in the e-commerce sector, because now you can actually link real products to product pages. You know, it's not a matter of go off-site or link down below or any of this stuff. Now you can actually click within the video, and that's awesome. That's great.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Jimmy, I think I'll wrap it up for today. So thank you so much for your time, and I feel like I've learned a lot today, and hope that our listeners have as well. So.
Yeah, if anyone in your audience needs some advice that I can hand out in 140 characters or less, they can follow me at SoyJimmy, SoyJimmy, and yeah, I mean, free of charge. Ask whatever you need, and if I can give you a hand, go ahead and ask.
And likewise, I am available as well. I am Joanne Probyn, founder of ReadyGo Media, and I can be reached on Twitter at Joanne Probyn. And thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.